Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Today we're looking at something that I'm so happy to finally be able to cover because it's an Easter egg, right, that has been sitting in front of our faces for the last 7-ish years. Now then, before I tell you guys about what exactly this is and what it means, don't forget we'll be doing that as well, I need to give you some background information about the story leading up to this discovery. Okay, so I have been making YouTube videos ever since the Zombies storyline really was birthed and began all the way back in Call of Duty World at War. I've been making videos and covering the story as best I can on my channel. And so, last year, wow, it feels weird saying last year when it was only a couple of days ago. Last year, in 2015, when Jason Blundell announced that there were Easter eggs we hadn't found in World at War, I was pretty gobsmacked. That wasn't because I doubted Treyarch or because I thought that their team wasn't quite good enough to hide an Easter egg for that damn long in such an old game, but rather it was because I know for a fact that the code has been combed through so many times, and surely anything hidden in there would have been discovered either in people's playing of the game, or alternatively, in people's combing of the code. Regardless, Jason announced that there were unsolved eggs in previous games. Everybody went wild. People were speculating that they were in Kino or in 5, and that those maps had big Easter eggs we hadn't found, and all sorts of stuff like that. But it never really came to anything, or at least it didn't at the time. A lot of searching was done, but at this point, we've played the maps so many times, we've pretty much been searching while playing for years now, and so there wasn't necessarily a huge amount of use in us going back and trying to find stuff all over again, because we've already been doing that. That hubbub all grew from the talk that Treyarch gave at Comic-Con. That's where it all originated. And later in the year, I actually had the very rare opportunity to talk to the man himself, Jason Blundell. He specifically asked Activision if he could talk to me and my buddy Jon, and we spent around 7 hours or something talking with him, and then like another 5 the next day about zombies, about the storyline, about game mechanics they'd implemented in the past, about things that we didn't like. I gave him loads of feedback and really did the community as big, as solid as I possibly could, and overall it was just absolutely awesome getting a chance to talk to him. Now, in that time, he, obviously being Jason Blundell, was very cryptic about certain areas of things. I would ask a question like, Jason, in Ascension, back in Call of Duty Black Ops 1, we had a loading screen image for the map, and then later on, it changed for no reason whatsoever, and it was never explained. Why? These were the sorts of questions that I was asking. I was probing for information, and slowly but surely, 1 or 2 things did sort of seep through into the conversation. He dropped 1 or 2 hints. Now, some of that stuff is stuff that I'll talk about in other videos, no doubt. One of the things, though, was something I actually forgot about until pretty much today. He dropped a hint, specifically about Call of Duty World at War. And it's something that we're going to go back to and actually discover now and explain and welcome, really, with open arms as a new Easter egg. At last, we have found it. So Jason said, very casually and in passing, without trying to draw any attention to it, oh yeah, no one's found the World at War character bios Easter egg. So straight away at the time, I was like, what? Sorry, sir, what did you just say? So as you can imagine, I'm sitting there thinking, holy guacamole, what on earth have we missed? Have I been this much of a melon for the last 7 years that I didn't spot something so obvious, an Easter egg hidden right in plain sight in the bios that I've read so many times? Turns out, I was being a melon, and so was the entire rest of the community. We were all watermelons, but it's okay. Like many peas from the same actually, I should probably say, like many seeds from the same melon, we're all in this together. So, credit where credit's due. As always, I credit people like crazy on this channel. We've got 2 people to thank for this discovery. One is called Jon Meek. The other is called Rage Overlord. Guys, well done. Massive congratulations. I'm crediting both just because they both sent it to me at pretty much the same time. But anyhow, the Easter egg is as follows. In Call of Duty World at War, obviously there are character bios. We have discussed this. This is something that is a very well-established fact. But what has not been realized until now, a very, very easy to spot egg, is the fact that if you read the bios in the order in which they appear in-game, so that's Tank, then Nikolai, then Tak, and then Eddie, you'll find that if you take the first letter from every sentence, you find a fairly interesting secret message. Now, there's a lot more to discuss re this message, but I'm going to tell you about it after I give you the message itself, just to quiet the people in the comments that are no doubt moaning about the fact that I'm still talking and haven't told you what it is. The Doctor wants the ultimate power. Bastard. So, that's fairly interesting. Why is it fairly interesting? Well, the Doctor, obviously, we know who that is. Richtofen. Presumably. Is it Richtofen? It could be, but it could actually also, if we wanted it to, be Maxis. There's no real way of discerning between who they meant when they said the Doctor, because Richtofen is a doctor, and Maxis is a doctor. Heck, Dr. Monty is a doctor. But surely Dr. Monty didn't even exist in Jason's head back during the time of World at War. Surely! Now, there are a couple of different approaches that you can have when it comes to analysing this message and thinking about how relevant it might be. Obviously, this is an Easter egg from years and years ago, and so it isn't sort of current. But I want to stop anyone in their tracks that says, MrRoflWaffles, I think you will find that this is too old, and therefore I'm not interested. To those people, I quite simply say, stop with the silly talk, because we've got some very important information. In fact, I've told you some very important information to associate with this discovery that means that it does have relevance, it does have meaning and gravitas and credence beyond our wildest imaginations. Well, maybe not quite, but it's certainly worth looking into. And that piece of info is the fact that Jason Blundell specifically hinted at the fact that not only was this an Easter egg that we hadn't found, not only did he mention that there was something to do with the character bios that we hadn't discovered yet, but he said, and I quote, holy moly, okay, he didn't say holy moly, he said, Milo, those character bios are very important. The community hasn't looked at those bios in a long time. I am making it your duty, and the duty of your buddy John over here, I am making it your collective duty to reignite the flame of curiosity in the community and get people looking at the bios again. Because, and again, verbatim quote here, the World at War character bios are extremely important. So now if there are any naysayers in the comments going, still don't think they're important, then those people are silly because Jason disagrees with them. And that's not a good position to put yourself in. So, bastard. Do we take this word to mean A, bastard as in, you're such a bastard. Ah, dearie me, you're an absolute bastard. That chap over there, he's a right bastard, he is. Do we take it in that sense, in a derogatory sense, in the sense that Tank, Nikolai, and Tak all basically hate the Doctor for experimenting on them? They're not exactly best friends with him, and as such, they're calling him, in a derogatory manner, a bastard. That's completely possible. But it's also just as possible, and this is where things get really, really interesting, and it changes the very essence of Dr. Richtofen himself, and also gives us an idea of why Jason might have said it was so damn important. It's possible that Richtofen is actually a bastard. Now, what does that mean? In the good old Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of bastard is an illegitimate child. Something that is spurious, irregular, inferior, but it's those first two which describe a person born of parents not married to each other that are really interesting here. We've heard extremely little about Richtofen's parents, but we do know this. From Richtofen's very first day studying at Heidelberg University, Richtofen displayed not only an intellect, but also a maturity well beyond his years. But the impact of his parents' death affected him deeply. Maxis tries to be some kind of father figure to Richtofen. This is in the Origins timeline with the Origins cast, the young characters. But Maxis fears that Richtofen's choices might be influenced by his newfound friends in Group 935. Now, despite being a couple of years old, Origins is actually a fairly recent map, certainly compared to World at War, and so it's very interesting that this World at War bio is seemingly linked to information that we've only become privy to as recently as around August 2013. My team completed that very Origins Easter egg on August 30th, 3:10 a.m. in the morning. Oh boy, those are good memories. And then the next day, I uploaded my video with all of the Origins ciphers decoded. I decoded them myself, and that's one of the messages we got. So the reason I think that this is particularly interesting, and the reason I'm spending so long talking about this one damn sentence, and we haven't even looked at the first bit yet, just the word bastard on its own, the reason I'm spending so long on it is because I think that this is a really sort of indicative tease as to what sort of things Treyarch are planning for the rest of the story. Think about it, okay? Right now, we have the Origins cutscene, and to this day, we don't know its true meaning. Anyone that just says, oh, the story is all a dream and it's all in Samantha's head, clearly has grasped the wrong end of the stick. Because looking at it that way is far too simplistic. There is so much more going on here. Think about it. In Black Ops 3, and rather in this new arc that Treyarch have started when Jason took up the reins in Black Ops 2 and did Mob of the Dead and then did Origins and now is doing all of Black Ops 3 Zombies, this new story contains a Dr. Richtofen who's just killed himself. He needs to kill all the other versions of himself to achieve something. We don't really know what it is. Is he trying to save his friend? Is he trying to protect the children? Or does he have other motives entirely? We see that he says the children will be safe in the house, so clearly he's taking them into consideration, and there's a good chance that he wants them to be safe in the house, and that's why he's written that there as a sort of reassurance to himself. We also know that he's searching for the summoning key, and when he eventually finds it, he ends up going first to the giant, shoots himself in the head, takes something from his body, has the blood vials with him that whole time, and then afterwards, after extracting himself from that site with the help of Dr. Maxis, heads to Der Eisendrache, the castle, and that's where DLC 1 takes place. That's the sort of rough arc that has been built up right now. But we also simultaneously have this Kid Edward, young Edward Richtofen, seemingly, in the house with young Samantha, American Samantha, not German Samantha. They are both there. They are the children that will be safe in the house. So is young Richtofen trying to protect or somehow watch over Kid Richtofen? Is that what's going on here? Is it the better tomorrow for the children that Richtofen really wants? Or, and this is the key point, because it seems, from what we hear in The Giant from Maxis, it seems like he is on the same page as Eddie, and they are working together to give the children a better future. We hear about that very same idea in the Shadows of Evil ciphers that I have on my channel. But does this World at War Easter egg suggest that maybe what's going on here is young Richtofen doesn't actually want to help? He doesn't actually lie on the same plane as good old Dr. Maxis. Maxis has gone good, whereas before he was evil. That's fine. He's gone good, but maybe Richtofen wants the ultimate power. Maybe he's actually scheming and has been this entire time to get full control, just like he potentially did in Buried in Black Ops 2. Except this time, he wants overarching control of all of these universes. Forget unification, forget giving the kids a better tomorrow, a better future, forget the idea of him walking this path and making this great sacrifice in order to be the hero that only he can be. Forget all that. Maybe Richtofen is just an evil bastard. It's completely possible. It's honestly crazy how everything can change because of one little sentence. So we can look at this and say, yep, okay, this is Richtofen being a bastard child of parents who bore him illegitimately in the sense that they weren't married. Those parents died before his time at university, but maybe they were more influential on him than we previously thought. Here's some food for thought. Kid Richtofen in Maxis's house and Samantha's house, that house, Kid Richtofen in there, does he have parents that are alive? In that universe, wherever that house may be, if it's even in a universe, we don't know, but wherever that house is, it could be in a universe in which Richtofen's parents are still alive. So are Richtofen's parents going to play some kind of more important role in the upcoming maps? Would Jason point us towards such an old Easter egg like this if it meant nothing at all, if it would only confuse things? I think The fact that he specifically said, Milo, check out those damn bios and have another read, I think that means that not only is the information in there important, but also this Easter egg is completely valid to this day. This has not been retconned. Jimmy Z's stuff has been retconned. This is still very much alive. Its heart, maybe 3 hearts, is beating perfectly fast, and its blood is blue. It doesn't matter that in the past, so much of that old story information has become kind of irrelevant over the years. It doesn't matter at all, because for this particular Easter egg, it's very much entrenched in the current story, the Liquid Divinium, the new Maxis, the new Richtofen, the new characters. It's very much entrenched in this era. The key thing to remember throughout all of this discussion is that now that we have multiverses, now that we have timelines that completely are loop-de-looping all over the damn place, everything is possible. Just bear that in mind. I have been MrRoflWaffles. Please leave your discussion in the comments. Please, V2, leave a like, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, if there's anything that you're confused about and want clarifying, I'm happy to do it. I'm a huge storyline nerd. You guys know me. I'm an expert on this stuff. And I'll hopefully be able to clear it up nice and soon for you. Thanks for watching, though. Tally-ho.